Hello, everybody. This is Debo with Debo's Film Reviews, and this week's review will be Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens, starring Daisy Ridley as Rey, John Boyega as Finn, aka FN2187, Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron, Domhnall Gleeson as General Hux, Gwendolyn Christie as Captain Phasma, Lupita Nyong'o as Maz Kanata, and of course, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, Carrie Fisher as Leia, and of course, Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. Yeah. And of course, Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, and Andy Serkis as Emperor Snoke. Or should I say Supreme Leader Snoke. Which, I gotta say, talk about an odd one that the sequel trilogies were, which completely ignored everything from like the expanded canon, expanded universe that took place, like no kind of like No Mara Jade, and the fact that they made Kylo Ren the son of Han and Leia, which kind of just taints the legacy of them of being good fighters and freedom fight and resistance leaders. Well, Leia being a resistance leader and Han being Han, of course. Yeah, I just kind of find it stupid that they just made it to where he was their nephew, their son, and then he went to live with his uncle Luke. He was trying to restart the Jedi Council and all. And of course yeah, which Mandalorian is what leading up to how he, with the appearance of Snips, aka Ahsoka, in season 2. And we gotta wait till 2022 for the fate of Grogu. Which, although back to Force Awakens, I gotta say, it's just kind of odd how they just made stupid about how they just made Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo, just be like the so-called prodigy of the next generation of Skywalker, only to go to the dark side, which which he turned out to be more like his grandpa instead of his Uncle Luke, which was not. Although I kind of find it odd how they should have just made him a Palpatine instead, and Rey actual Skywalker, which, yeah, I'll get to that with Last Jedi and Force Awakens, but I mean Rise of Skywalker. I mean, but yeah, it kind of was odd how they did that to just rehash with that the scene, the desert planet, which surprisingly they didn't just go back to Tatooine. Instead, they made up another one called Jakku. And I'm just like, seriously, they could have just had a good opportunity to go back to Tatooine. Kind of like, which, back to Mandalorian, which had the ending where Bib Fortuna took over for a while, and then Boba, spoilers for those who hadn't seen it, takes over. And I would like to see how that criminal empire would have been there, but overall, I gotta say, the Jakku scenes are kind of okay. I mean, especially when you got the scrap dealer played by Simon Pegg in the 1/4 portion. And another rehash of New Hope was straight was like the plans of to find Luke's location being in BB-8, like how in New Hope, R2 had the plans of the Death Star. And of course, the Starkiller base, which was almost just another Death Star. And of course, the destruction of said base. And get to the bane of this universe existence of how they disposed of Han, which which I've already stated about how stupid it was to make Kylo Ren the heir of the Skywalker heir instead of Rey, because they had a good opportunity to where she might have had little force powers, but chose to be an outlaw, be the space outlaw. Her dad, just like her dad, and of course when Kylo comes around, they eventually join the Resistance. And of course, kind of a missed opportunity to bring in Billy D with this one, and like because explain how like how the Falcon wound up on Jakku after Han supposedly lost it. Although a Barroway would have been like, how in the movie Han said it was stolen by this group of space out desperados, and another group of desperados. And it was like, yeah, they could have. Instead, they could have just been like Lando getting revenge on the game of Sabacc and winning his ship back. Could have bring all the original characters back, especially while Carrie was still alive. In other words, trying to do like this one iconic shot together of them all together. That's all the fans would have wanted. But now we got this to where they just tarnished the legacy of Han Solo by saying that the first order, just the dark side, rose again because Han Solo was a deadbeat dad. I can understand Harrison Ford didn't want to do 8 and 9, but well, he did have a cameo in that, but I'll get to that later in a review for that. But yeah, they could have just had a better way of doing that. Like, for example, the Maz Kanata, when they First Order raided that, and in one of the more epic scenes in that, especially the trooper with a melee weapon going, "Traitor!" and the shield and the staff and all. It was like, oof, all filmed with a lightsaber. I was like, oh yeah. One of the most epic uses of badassery in the franchise. And the character of Maz Kanata, I gotta say, she was like the kind of the Sophia Petrillo of the Star Wars verse. I mean, she's what Sophia would have looked like as an alien. Yeah, take that nod, Golden Girls fans. And another thing, how's it Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren, turns evil, yet he doesn't earn the rank of Darth? It's like, shouldn't it be called Darth Kylo Ren? And the helmet, it looks more like something out of Beetleborgs instead of Star Wars. It was like, and it wasn't even necessary other than just to look cool. Unlike how Vader after did mask which after episode 3, of course, when he fell in that volcano in Mustafar, and the things hooked up to him and all, which basically turned him into a cyborg, Vader into a cyborg. But yeah. And the thing about Knights of Ren, which I'll get to in another review. But overall, I gotta say, Force Awakens was kind of mixed on that one. Although I'd say the better out of the Disney trilogy. Yeah, despite how they ruined Han and Leia with making him had it more like Han, of course, just being turning him into a deadbeat dad. And of course, which explains the difference between stormtroopers and clone troopers, because of course we just started like some hoopla when they revealed Boyega in the trailer, which debunked all that clone theories because they were in Bad Batch. They were later phased out, which is because Governor Tarkin in between between Clone Wars, Bad Batch, and Rogue One and 4 was all more like actual soldiers, not clones of the Mandalorian bounty hunter Jango. But overall, I gotta say, excellent performances by Rey, which of course was a lot more, was a tad more badass than Leia, because at least she used her own force powers to escape. And of course, in that scene where when you got the Daniel Craig stormtrooper, and she uses her Jedi mind tricks on him. And of course, you got that, and I gotta say, very excellent. And although kind of back to Leia and how it's flawed how she is a Skywalker yet by blood, but never embraces her force powers, which was another missed opportunity in the franchise, to where she could have helped Luke reestablish the Jedi Council and made it more like the prequels, which I understand Coruscant, I think, was the planet that got destroyed by a Star Killer. Although could have had a missed opportunity to bring in some other elements of the prequels, like Naboo, a cameo by Snips, a Gungans, possibly a Jar Jar death scene. Like a lot of missed opportunities for this one. And of course, but I gotta say, excellent casting. I gotta say, Adam Driver did an excellent job as Kylo Ren. I mean, and I gotta say, he had one of the coolest looking lightsabers in the franchise history, where it's just like an old medieval sword. And I mean, like that kind of epic badassery that every time it whipped out, I kept hearing Princess of the Universe by Queen, which is themed to Highlander, playing every time it activated. And woof. And of course, old Kylo was just like his grandpa. I mean, more like the prequel one before turning bad, where he just whined about stuff, and then of course fully embraced the dark side was Beetleborg helmet, and that scene is beginning when Poe Dameron gets captured and he stops the laser bullet in midstream. Man, overall, I'm gonna have to give this a 4 out of 5 because of that. And epic characters of BB-8, and I'll say it was good. And of course, the whole funny scene of the Red Arm and C-3PO, which was, I say, was absolutely hilarious. She's an on, never really explained. But overall, a 4 out of 5. I hope y'all like, subscribe, enjoy.